Aloha, I'm Lyla Berg, and we're here at the Neal S. Blaisdell Arena, ready to meet the people who inform, inspire, and impact our daily lives. Thank you for joining us on Island Focus. So when you talk about memories,
Right.
the most significant concert happened here too.
I think so. There have been many, but probably the number one everybody will say is the Elvis concert. Aloha from Hawaii.
So that's why the statue is put here to remind us, right?
To remind us of what happened here. So that concert was shot live by satellite around the world. 40 countries saw it live or the next day,
right?
Except for the United States, which saw it in April because it was shot on the same day as Super Bowl VII.
Priorities.
Exactly, even in
Priorities.
1973.
And so how many people you think were here at that time?
Well, the capacity is 8,100, so I'm guessing 83.
Well, when I look back at this whole property, you know, it's thousands of people came to see him.
Right.
You're also imagining that happening in the future.
Absolutely. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do in all of the work that we're doing at Blaisdell right now, is to create these kind of 21st century moments.
Well, imagining the Blaisdell, imagining Elvis, it's going to be exciting.
Yes, thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Mahalo for tuning in to Island Focus and joining me in meeting Coralie Matayoshi, who is the CEO of the American Red Cross. Appreciate you taking the time, especially in these days of drama.
Yes, there is a lot of drama. You know, climate change has made us busier than ever. And every time we think that it's the worst, the typhoon just hit Saipan with 180 miles an hour winds. And we're learning so many lessons from Maria in Puerto Rico, and having to think of basic things like how are you going to flush the toilet when there's no water because the electricity and the pumps are out. And trying to just get back with communication, getting satellite phones over there. And it's a really big lesson for Hawaii as well. I mean, we're even worried about king tides. Well, later on, the level of sea level rise is going to make it even worse. And so we're always busy.
Well, when we talk about the American Red Cross, we all grew up with this image, you know, of the Red Cross coming into war zones and into man-made situations as well as nature's. How do we here in Hawaii affect or support, I guess, what else is happening in the world?
You know, anytime something happens around the world, we belong to a Society of International Red Crosses, and they go to the affected region and figure out what they need. And our modus operandi for the American Red Cross is to send money, because a lot of people say, oh, I want to go to Haiti or the Philippines, and really they need the money in order to be able to boost the economy and be able to get things to people.
So you don't physically go to the locations?
Not to international. We send a very few experts in water sanitation or grief counseling to be able to bolster their volunteer efforts, because I think Japan has 2 million volunteers, and so they didn't need us, but they needed our support in terms of expertise and also money.
So when we think about the Red Cross, you just mentioned grief counseling. There are so many more services that we're unaware of.
Yes, I mean, a hug is priceless. Just really, I went to
You
Katrina.
do hugs too?
Yes, we do. I mean, and it's trained mental health workers and nurses, and they are all volunteers. You know, 97% of our workforce is volunteer day in and day out. And that's something that's priceless. You can replace possessions and things, but if your spouse just died in a fire, and we have had a lot of fatalities lately, or even your pet, you need help. And the Red Cross is there at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and we'll stay with you for a month or longer to make sure that you're okay. And who's going to do that? You know, we're the only nonprofit that does that.
Did your background prepare you for this?
Not really. I'm a lawyer, as you know, and I was a trial attorney.
And a mom and a wife.
Yes, and a executive director of the Bar Association, and
Board of Regents.
Regent and lately a judge. And so I think all of those life experiences, though, has helped me feel like I'm more equipped to empathize with people and to be able to help people. And we've been able to reach out to the business community with a corporate partner program. So when I got on board the Red Cross, we were dead broke. And they had just got rid of a lot of people just to keep the doors open. And so we started having special events, and that takes a lot of time, and the net profit isn't that much. And so about 10 years ago, we started a corporate partner program where we ask companies to give money to us, and we don't have to have any special events, and all of the money goes to mission. And so that has really resonated with people, that all of the dollars will go straight to mission, and we don't have to, throw a big gala.
A gala or do any fundraising per se.
Right. Special events are just difficult, and there's so many in Hawaii. So we're just really lucky that we can use the compassion of companies and individuals, because that's where we get our funding from. We are not a government agency, and so we rely on the generosity of Hawaii's people to provide these critical services to the community.
Well, and I would imagine, too, relying upon the history of Red Cross. And so we know that Red Cross shows up when least expected and when needed.
Right.
What's a message to the public that you would like to leave?
Well, I wanted to tell people that the Red Cross is not a government agency, and so we need your support. We are only as strong as our own community can support us, and not only with money, but with volunteers. We need volunteers every single day. We respond to disasters every 4 days in Hawaii, and then when there's a big one, like the lava flow or Hurricane Lane or the flooding, we need more people. And so we've been able to try to get just-in-time spontaneous volunteers. We actually recruited about 400 on the Big Island. Because we're separated by islands, we need people on that island. Otherwise, we're going to have to transport and house them. And so we were able to do that successfully with the lava flow, which we were there for 138 days, which is the longest running shelter in Red Cross history in Hawaii.
Right. Well, we appreciate all of your leadership and the different professions that you've had, but it's certainly now with the Red Cross, and we know that the history of the organization and your own history really support it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
We've been chatting with Coralie Matayoshi, who is the CEO of the American Red Cross. Thanks for joining us. We're here at the Neal Blaisdell Arena with Rick Ahn of the Kroc Center, who is the ministry director. Glad you're with us. Thank you for driving out all this way from Kapolei, is it?
Yes, Lyla. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
The Kroc Center, my familiarity is that it's a rec center, it's part of the Salvation Army.
Yes.
As ministry director, what is your role there?
My role is to oversee the activities and events that involve the congregation. So we actually have our own church services there with our own members that join us on Sundays, and we have programming during the week. And a lot of people don't know that the Salvation Army is a church, and it's its own denomination. It's part of the Universal Christian Church, and it's an evangelical part of that Universal Christian Church.
So the Kroc Center, it's stupendous.
Oh, thank you.
It's a wonderful facility for not only neighborhood families, but for families even from the other side of the island, right?
Sure,
that want
absolutely.
to enroll their children in programs.
Yes.
How does that work with the church?
While I am the ministry director and I help to oversee some of the congregational activities, as I said, and just what happens on Sundays, it goes beyond that. Every part of the Kroc Center we consider ministry, whether it's people working out in the health and wellness center, kids taking music and art lessons, and other educational opportunities that we have there. So the Salvation Army is really into a holistic ministry. We are interested in helping people develop their spiritual well-being, but also their mental, physical well-being through arts and other creative types of
And family
engagements.
Relationships are so important also.
Absolutely, yeah. Funny you mentioned, our vision actually is a place to be where families thrive and individuals and just relationships. That's actually in our vision statement, for relationships to thrive in the name of our Lord. And we really enjoy that.
So I mentioned that I'm familiar with the center because there you have children performances
Sure.
at the end of a program or something.
Absolutely.
And I went once, and my friends actually are from East Oʻahu.
Okay.
But because the Kroc Center was so holistic, they would drive their children there.
Right.
Is that your experience as well? People from all over the island come?
Yes, it really is a gift for the state. It happens to be in Leeward Oʻahu, which was intentionally placed there because it kind of ties in with the mission of the Salvation Army to reach the underserved, really. And yet it is open to all. And if you're willing to drive from Hawaiʻi or the east side of Oʻahu, we welcome you at open arms. We actually have members when we first opened that were from Hawaiʻi, from Kaneohe, and because of the experience they had there with their families and just the wealth of programs, again, from health and wellness to other things, and Aquatic Center, of course, is really fun. They decided to join and be members at the Kroc Center.
So what can one expect when you enter the doors?
What we strive for is to make sure everyone feels welcome and just is part of our ohana. So we call it the Kroc Ohana, and our members wear this shirt proudly. It's called the Kroc Ohana on it, and we try to make sure everybody that comes in feels welcomed and valued, because really we live in a small world, and it is somebody's auntie or uncle coming in to the center. So we want to embrace them and help them find something that they can engage in to grow and be all that they can be.
What's the background of the name?
So, of course, the initial part of the name is the Salvation Army, so it is owned and operated by the Salvation Army organization. But, of course, Ray and Joan Kroc gave the majority of the gift to build the Kroc Center. So, all in all, they gave about $110 million towards the Kroc Center to develop that. And then, just in partnership, great members of our community donated an additional $20+ million to build the Kroc Center.
So the vision of the Kroc family was to create a space for family to develop.
Families, yes, and we really know there's a huge need for families to just stay engaged and to grow together, and we placed a heavy emphasis, especially on children. Joan Kroc especially loved children, and the two of her words that we're all familiar with at the Kroc Center is opportunity and potential. She wanted to make sure that no child was left behind and that everyone had an opportunity to reach their full potential in life. And really, that's the gift to the community.
Well, what I appreciate so much about your location is the kapolei is really far out there. And children leave early in the morning and don't come home till late at night.
Right.
And so that's a little bit of a stress on families.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we believe that we are there to meet some of those needs when parents can't be around, for us to have programs that engage kids in the afternoon. And we've had a lot of different programs, from learn to swim programs, again, to music and the arts, and sports is a really big thing on the west side as well. So whatever it takes to bring kids, children in to just find their spark in life and to develop that.
I like that.
Yeah, and we really count it a humble privilege to be able to serve kids in the community in that way.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to help us appreciate the Kroc Center even more.
Absolutely.
Thank you, too, for joining us in meeting Rick Ahn of the Kroc Center. He's the ministry director. Thank you. When we talk about this area, we have memories, as we said. And there used to be a lot of sporting events here.
Lots of sporting events.
And now?
Signature sporting events. Not nearly as many on an annual basis. Maybe only 20% of the events that happen in here are sporting events. We have more performance events, concerts. So as we dream this arena forward into this century, the 21st century, we're going to do some renovations in here that will significantly change the experience. Right now it's a theater in the round, and seats go all the way around the center of the court. We're going to use an amphitheater type of setting so that every seat in the arena faces the stage, and every seat could be sold for a sellout.
But basically the same shape will exist.
Same shape. It'll still be the circle, still be the same iconic roof line. It'll look very similar from the outside, but when you got inside, you'd think you're in a different place.
Well, I think it will keep, sounds like it's still going to keep the intimacy of community.
For sure. It's going to be a very intimate showplace.
So concerts, graduations again.
Continue to do graduations,
And-
which every parent's going to have even a better view of their child crossing the stage.
And sports.
Still sports, we could still do a configuration for sports for a large enough event, absolutely.
Well, it sounds pretty exciting, and reimagine.
Absolutely,
Right?
thank you, yes.
Reimagine Blaisdell.
.com.
What an opportunity you have today to meet Roxanne Bolden, who is the Executive Director of Aloha Independent Living Hawaii. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Please explain a little bit more about what it is the organization focuses on and what your role is.
Okay. Aloha Independent Living Hawaii is a small grassroots nonprofit organization. It was created by a group of community members and executive directors of other disability organizations, including myself, because we wanted to give people with disabilities a choice on where to receive independent living services and programs.
So when we say disabilities, what does that entail?
Okay, it's anything that impacts your life where you are unable to perform a daily function because of a limitation or because of a disability. So if it permanently affects you, whether it can be walking and you require a wheelchair or crutches, or breathing because you need your inhaler or you need the oxygen tank, those things affect daily normal activity, you would be considered somebody with a disability.
So how would someone find you if they felt that they needed help or wanted help?
Sure. We normally get our referrals from other agencies we work with. So for example, Department of Vocational Rehabilitation would refer to us, the Office of Aging, and they're located on all the different counties. We can also get referrals from individuals themselves. And maybe they heard it from a family friend or someone else in their community that we provided service to, and they just spread through word of mouth. So they can give us a call, or they can contact us on the website, or they can email us.
Is it a residential facility or?
No, we don't believe in being a residential facility. It's just providing the services they need so they can live within their own communities with the supports that they need so they can be independent.
So we were chatting a little earlier before the program, and I get very clearly your passion and your interest and your dedication to this community. What might that be about?
Okay, so I am the youngest of 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls. And 2 of my brothers were born with an intellectual disability. And back then, what they did with individuals who were born with that disability is they put them in institutions. My dad didn't believe in that. He wanted them to be a part of our family, a part of our community, and I watched him advocate for my brother. You don't normally see individuals with disabilities serve in the capacity as an altar server in the Catholic Church. You know, whether they had limitations or not, my dad just wanted them to have the same experience that my other brothers had.
Amazing man he was, huh?
Yes, yes. And then I had 2 brothers that served in the military. And because of their war-related experiences, they became disabled. So one has a mental health issue, suffering from PTSD, and the other has some physical disabilities. And then my dad, as he got older, became disabled due to just being older, just age-related disabilities.
Well, you have personal experience of this, but I get also that some of the success that drives you is seeing the difference not only in the clients that you work with, but also in agencies around the state.
Yes. I think it makes a big difference when you come home at the end of the day knowing that you have profoundly impacted somebody in a good way, even if it's just arming them with information they didn't know. All too often we get a call from a family member whose family just became disabled and they don't know what to do. They need support, they need information, so they'll give us a call, and even just connecting them to the appropriate information is something that for them it's, wow, someone's listening to me, somebody is actually hearing what I'm going through, and there's somebody I can speak to. So it leaves you with a good feeling when you go home at the end of the day.
And is this a state agency? I know you said it was a private agency, but there's funding as well?
Yes, so we're a private 501(c) nonprofit, but we do receive state and federal funding specifically to service the disability population.
And are people able to donate if they wanted to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we would love that.
Time as well as resources?
Expertise, and monetary donations. We have 2 traumatic brain injury groups here in Hawaii, and they meet at the Rehab Hospital of the Pacific. We have a lot of professionals that volunteer their time, like seamstress and teachers and nurses. And so if you have any of those skill level, please contact us. You never know whether or not you can be teaching somebody with a disability a skill that they didn't even know they would be interested in.
You have an amazing spirit for what you've personally endured and overcome, as well as professionally. What are some of the challenges?
Okay. I think the biggest challenge was being a new nonprofit. So next year we'll be reaching our 10th year.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So when we initially started,
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for that, because myself as well as my original staff members, we worked really hard to the point of I actually sacrificed my salary for 2 years to save the agency. And my staff members took pay reduction, and also their hours were reduced as well in order for us to keep the agency alive. When the federal funding came about, we were able to finally get everybody back up onto the payroll, get their pay level up there, increase their hours, and then expand our service to cover the whole entire Hawaiian Island. So when we're talking about this nonprofit, there's a lot of people that sacrifice to save the independent living dollars for the state of Hawaii. Because if you lose a state federal funding for the state, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's very difficult to bring it back to Hawaii. So we were very fortunate that we were one of the new nonprofits that were able to apply for this particular grant.
Well, thank you for your dedication and for your love and for all of your energy. It's very obvious.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being with us. And thank you, too, for joining us on Island Focus. We've been chatting with Roxanne Bolden, who is the Executive Director for Aloha Independent Living Hawaii. Appreciate you being with us. Today on Island Focus, you will enjoy meeting Darlene Ka'aha'aina, Chief Nursing at Waikiki Health. Thank you for being with us. And you as well. Appreciate you taking time from your day.
Thank you.
As a registered nurse, you have a lot of work there at Waikiki Health.
I think we all have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of people to reach out.
So explain a little bit more about what this center is about. I know it's not called Waikiki Health Center anymore, because the center is behind the building. But at Waikiki Health, you serve a number of people.
We serve everyone, whether you're homeless, whether you have private insurance, whether you have anybody. We welcome everybody. In 1967, Waikiki was established by a handful of community members who thought that, or who saw that there was a concern of the growing problem of drug use in Waikiki. For this unseen problem that we have in Waikiki Health, it's kind of set the foundation for Waikiki's health mission. And the mission is to provide quality medical care and social services that are available to everyone, whether you have the ability to pay or not.
So it's not just health, it's mental health as well, and
Correct.
social services.
Yes.
So, Waikiki is precious to all of us because of its history, and at the same time, there's a bit of a mystery in the streets. How do you address that as a nurse?
We welcome everyone. We have patients that live around the community. They come and visit us. We have patients who live on the side streets, and they come in. Some of them come in with talking to themselves. Some of them is high on alcohol, drugs, and we just welcome everyone, and we try to help as much as we can to get the services that our clients need.
I remember I needed to get a TB test, and the hospital at Oʻahu was too busy. And so I think I called Waikiki Health, and you provide that as well.
There's so many services today that we provide. Our clinic, we have Ōhua Clinic, which is at 277 Ōhua, and we have our new Makahiki Clinic and Dental. Both clinics provide preventive and medical services. We have integrative behavioral health services. We have optometry. We have pharmacy. We have care coordinations. We have medical nutrition therapy, smoking cessation.
Wow, and how many staff are we talking about there?
We're talking about 200 employees and
Wow.
about 100 and a little over 100 volunteers at the health center.
And so do you do outreach as well, or what are the volunteers for?
Volunteers work at, most of our volunteers work at Next Step Shelter, which is our emergency shelter, which serves individuals or couples to have temporary shelter.
So you always appreciate more volunteers, of course.
Yes, yes, it is.
And is it a state agency, or how is this funded?
It's a nonprofit organization, so most of our funding comes from patient revenue, Medicaid and Medicare services, and the other half comes from federal grants, city and state, and even donors that we receive money from.
So as a registered nurse, you prepared yourself early on for a career of service. And it sounds as if Waikiki Health addresses people of greatest need. What's one of your joys being part of this organization?
I love working with people, all sorts of people. And it makes me think and appreciate where I am and who I am, and to appreciate what I have, because not everybody have what we have. I came from another organization, and I met a patient. I grew to know, and now he comes to Waikiki Health.
Because of you.
He comes to Waikiki Health, which is nice to see familiar faces. And one night he asked me for money to buy food, and I don't want to give you money because not sure what you want to use your money for. So what I did is I went next door and I bought dinner for him and gave him dinner. And he ended up 3 weeks later telling me how appreciative he was and that he's making a difference in his life. You know, it could be small steps, but steps is critical. You know, you have to get to step A to get to step B. So just to see the reward and the happiness in people.
And the
which is
satisfaction and
nice.
appreciation.
Right.
And I'm sure all your volunteers feel that way too because of your leadership there.
Yes.
Thank you for being
I think
with
it's
us.
everybody's leadership. We're all a team. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time helping us
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, thank you.
You've just had the opportunity to meet Darlene Ka'aha'aina, who is Chief Nursing at Waikiki Health. Thanks for being with us. Mahalo to the Neal S. Blaisdell Arena for hosting us today, and to you for tuning in to Island Focus. I'm Lyla Berg. Aloha and malama pono. Take care of each other. See you soon.